What's up, bro? So, if you're struggling with self-control in any area, right, usually this is Nofap, all right? For the majority of guys, even watching this is probably gonna be Nofap. Self-control, like, goes in more things, right? Like, maybe just sleeping with a girl that you know is not good for you. Nah, you know she's a bad girl, you know she has a high body count, has a lot of male friends, etc. There's no future with her, and you want a girlfriend, and you know that this girl is not it, but you still want to sleep with her. Or playing video games, or doing whatever, right? There are certain areas of life in which you have to have self-control and do the right decision. And decision making is so important. I'm going to cover that in this video and the scientific explanation behind why you do the bad habits and why it seems like you just can't control yourself. It's almost like you have brain fog. You don't see the right decision, or you see it but you just choose to ignore it. I know exactly how that feels, and I'm going to explain to you how you can beat that. So the first thing you need to realize is there are two parts of your brain, the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala. And these two are responsible for your decision making. So I'm gonna firstly cover the amygdala. The amygdala is like in the middle of your brain or the back of your brain. I'm not quite sure. I think somewhere in the middle of your brain. The amygdala, you may have seen me mention this on my channel before, but the amygdala is the caveman brain. That's how I describe it, like the caveman brain. Basically, the UG brain, you know, the monkey brain, the stupid, retarded, low IQ brain. Basically, the caveman brain. It's like whenever you get that urge to fap, your brain just says release, 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 release. That's what the amygdala says. Now, the prefrontal cortex is the logical and rational brain, which says, you know that's going to release prolactin in your body. You know that's going to kill your test. You know that's going to make you sleepy and less ambitious and more lazy. You know it's not good for you. And you know that it will make you feel bad, put you on a low frequency, and make you more likely to do more bad habits. You know that. That's the prefrontal cortex. But the amygdala is not rational at all. The amygdala just wants your needs met by any means necessary, even though the prefrontal cortex knows for a fact that that's the wrong decision at the time. When you fall into a bad habit, you're experiencing a thing called cognitive dissonance, meaning the amygdala beats the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, is not big enough. Yes, literally like physically big enough. If you were to do a scan of your brain, basically, you would see the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex, the size of it, and then you would train your prefrontal cortex, which I'm going to teach you how to do it later on in this video. You would do the test a month later, and you'd see the size increase. So it's literally like a physical thing that increases and decreases in size. Just like the AMCC, which the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, which I've talked about before in this video on this channel, or maybe it was the second channel. I'm not sure. I think I might have mentioned that on the second channel. I'm not quite sure. Until AMCC, basically, the discipline, basically the part of your brain that controls discipline and you doing hard things and pain tolerance and all of that. Now, how does the amygdala grow bigger in the prefrontal cortex? And I want to tell you, it's more likely in the majority of people. Over 80% of the population has a bigger amygdala than the prefrontal cortex. You can watch Dr. Andrew Huberman talk about this with all his studies and all of that if you want. Even the correct resources talk about the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala, and the AMCC, and all the parts of your brain. To me, this is honestly, like, you may think that this is too sciencey, nerdy bullshit. To me, this is very interesting because I like to understand why I do the things that I do, good or bad. I like to understand it. So how does the amygdala grow? By giving in to these addictions without a fight. To be honest, you grow the prefrontal cortex by challenging it, by basically, like, it's gonna sound stupid, but basically muscle hypertrophy. Your brain is a muscle. Basically, by training it, by when you do get that urge, resisting it. And even if you do fall into it, don't go down without a fight. Keep thinking how bad this is. Keep reminding yourself, I shouldn't be doing this. Stop it for a second, right? Even if you just can't control yourself, shame yourself for it. And this is where it's so important to shame yourself for it and feel like shit. And yes, this is putting you into a low frequency. That shame is a very low frequency. But if you do it when you're doing a bad habit, not after. Okay, so quick note, I am editing this video and I just realized that I wanted to say something. And it is, you shaming yourself when you're doing it You may think, oh, but shouldn't that isn't shame a low frequency? Am I not putting myself in a low frequency? Yes, you are. But guess what? You are already in a low frequency when you're jerking off, because lust is a low frequency, right? Desire, basically like the lustful type of desire, that is a low frequency already. So you are basically training your brain that to think that every single time that I jerk off, I feel like shit. I'm in the lowest frequency. I feel like shit. You need to shame yourself, call yourself a cuck, call yourself a fucking loser, say that your future wife is gonna cheat on you. I'm never gonna get rich. All of these things when you're jerking off, and you're gonna feel so bad, and you're gonna keep reminding yourself that. And don't let this slide even once. So you start thinking before you start jerking off. You're gonna think to yourself, man, every single time I'm jerking off, I feel like shit. I am ashamed of myself. I keep getting insulted by my own brain. Why the fuck do I keep doing this? And you need to do it when you're doing it, not after the fact. After it's done, you can't do anything about it. You can't turn the clock around. You can't go back in time and stop yourself from doing it. So it's useless to shame yourself after you've jerked off. Forgive yourself for it, but punish yourself when you're doing it. So that's so uncomfortable to do it that you need to get a mid-nut clarity. You know, the post-nut clarity, that doesn't help you. You're going to go back to jerking off. You need to get a mid-nut clarity. You need to feel like shit when you're nutting. You need to make that feel so bad. Okay? Now, this doesn't apply to sex. Sex is okay. Sex is good. Enjoy it. But you cannot enjoy jerking off. So I just wanted to remind you of this and put this as a side note inside this video. Keep enjoying and keep watching the video. That's you training your prefrontal cortex and you're battling the amygdala. Because realistically, who do you respect more in a fight? Like, let's say there are two scenarios. You lose a boxing match, right? Or, yeah, you lose a boxing match. Now, who would you respect more in this situation? The guy who just in the third round stopped covering himself, like literally like already knew this was kind of over and stopped trying hard? Or the second guy who always got back up after he got knocked down and always kept pushing through and got his face fucked up, but at least he took 3 hits to hit once his opponent? Who would you respect more? And this is how you train the amygdala. How do you train the prefrontal cortex? And you need to grow your PC, your prefrontal cortex, because you grow it by small wins. Because what you have to realize is that if you have the urge to fap, you are winning every single second that you don't do it. So even if you delay it, you're winning. Now, this doesn't mean that you should try and you should not try to resist it, and you should say, oh, I'm gonna jerk off in 20 minutes from now, so that's me training my PC. No, you should completely not think about it and completely try to distract yourself with work and not do it at all, not just later on. But if you delay it by 1 hour, that's more training for the PC. All right, you're doing more damage to the amygdala because the amygdala didn't get its needs met at the time. So I'm going to give you a practical example of it. You take a Snickers bars. This is like the example that I did, or Kinder Buenos. I mentioned this in the podcast with Gage Smith. This is what I call the willpower training. And I didn't even know about the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala back then. But you put a Snickers bar or some kind of sweet that you like. You know it's bad for you. You put it on your desk and you do your work. And you want it, you're hungry, you want to eat that snack, it looks delicious. The longer you delay not eating it, the better. Really, like, the longer you delay not eating it, or if you don't eat it at all, you're winning. I told the story of me putting a Kinder Bueno on my desk in the podcast with Gage Smith, and I told him how I had it on my desk, a Kinder Bueno, for a month. And then I opened it because I wanted to eat it. Finally, the amygdala, I gave into that and I was about to eat it. I opened it and then I saw, this has been here for about a month. I resisted it for a month, but now that I'm about to eat it, it looks exactly the same. Now that just shows you how the preservatives and all the bullshit they put into it is how artificial this food is. Real food goes bad. You put a steak for a day on your desk and it'll go bad. Or you put it on, yeah, even for a day, that's just about enough. This shit doesn't go bad. How artificial is? I was just disgusted. I didn't even want to eat it anymore. Threw it in the bin. But that just shows you how willpower training, basically PC training, prefrontal cortex training, works. And ever since then, okay, I might have had some food that wasn't good for me every now and then. That's true. But I never went to the store and bought a Kinder Bueno or a Snickers bar or Lay's chips or shit like this that I used to eat. I got disgusted by how perfect that food looked even after a month of being on my desk. So basically, this is just brain training, like literally. And this is also like addictions explained scientifically. Now, Tony Robbins explained why people get addicted to stuff is because you get all your needs met at once. And this is literally whenever you're addicted to getting your needs met. And if you get your needs met, but you can control it and you can delay it, you have more self-control now. You can decide, do I have sex with my girlfriend right in the morning, the first thing in the morning? I release, and then I'll release prolactin after ejaculation. Your body releases prolactin. Or do I have sex with her but I don't come, which means now my body produced testosterone during this, and I have more testosterone and more mental clarity, and now I have more testosterone and just testosterone during the day. That's the right thing to do, right? To edge yourself up until the evening and then release. Have sex with your girlfriend all throughout the day, but don't fap. That's like the self-control correct decision that the prefrontal cortex should meet. But the amygdala wants you to release, right? So it's like, it's hard, you're edging yourself basically with your girlfriend, and you say, okay, let's continue later on. It's like, it's weird, right? It's weird from the beginning. But if you learn how to do this, you'll see a lot of your work and a lot of your workouts, even like workout in the gym with more testosterone in your body, you'll do so much better. Your life quality will improve if you just do this small change, for example. Now, does this mean you should watch porn and edge yourself? No, don't do that. You're destroying your mental health for that shit, okay? Don't do that. This is like a bad example, but self-control is the number one thing that will take you to your dream life. And I want you to understand that. You can't control what your hand does. How the fuck are you going to control what you do once you make a big bag of money? And how do you control yourself from not doing stupid decisions? The amygdala is holding you back from success, okay? This can literally change the trajectory of your life. And I want you to truly take this seriously and truly look into it. This video is not enough, okay? This is not going to change your life. Do some research into it. Look up the prefrontal cortex, the amygdala. Look up Andrew Huberman speaking about these things, or some other scientist, whatever. Look more into this over the next few days and journal about this and keep this on your mind until it actually becomes second nature and you actually keep this in mind. Whenever I see McDonald's and I want to go eat McDonald's, I keep in mind that the amygdala is trying to beat me. And I just think about this throughout my day. And if you can incorporate this into your life, this will change your life. And I think God has put this into you intentionally, right? Because you cannot remove the amygdala. It's in the middle of your brain. And you can't just remove parts of your brain. You cannot. It's like you're stuck with this. And God put this for a reason, to test you. If you look at it this way, it's not like you're not really going to complain about it. You're not going to say, man, it's so bad. I wish I didn't have the amygdala. Then what would be the point of life if you were only making logical decisions, if you never made mistakes and you were perfect all of the time? The stories of when you fucked up are part of like your journey and your process and your progress, right? Now, this doesn't mean that you should be aiming to fuck up. No, aiming to not fuck up, because inevitably throughout your life, you're going to fuck up plenty of times anyways. So yeah, you cannot remove the amygdala, but the amygdala can shrink over time and the prefrontal cortex can grow. And that's what you want. So yeah, a lot of even rich people are struggling with this. How many people, like Lil Pump is a perfect example of it. I love Lil Pump, but that dude made some bad decisions. Or 6ix9ine, look at him. The IRS is now taking all of his money and all of his diamond chains and all of his cars and everything. They're seizing his assets because he didn't pay his taxes, because he wanted to spend it on bullshit. He didn't control himself. He didn't have self-control, and he literally made the stupid decisions, and now he's paying for it because his prefrontal cortex was not big enough and his amygdala was too strong and it beat the prefrontal cortex. And you could avoid that shit. Like, do you want to work all these years to finally have that Lambo and Ferrari and the mansion and everything, then have it seized like 6ix9ine because you're $22 million in debt because of some stupid decisions? Like, this can literally save you from so much pain in the future. So I really hope that you take this seriously. And yeah, with this in mind, may God bless you. I'll see you on the next one.